It's me. Hi. In the last episode, we survived a mini meltdown at Yongkang Park, explored the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall, and literally got lost at Elephant Mountain. We also had the famous bowl of beef noodle soup and bought some souvenirs for the family and friends. The following day was May 2, and I kicked off the day a little later than usual with some dumplings and an Americano. I had my breakfast al fresco at the nearby Mitsukoshi Family Mart. Nothing says opulence quite like a front seat view of the roadside and foot traffic. After the day I had previously, I thought I deserved a slightly more relaxing Thursday, okay? I had the fabulous idea to walk to Dihua Street. I took the most scenic route, kind of like the underworld, but make it commercial real estate. I ran into this toy shop on the way. It was still closed, but listen, I get excited when I see familiar faces. I haven't watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, by the way, but my best friend loves them. I do love Full Metal Alchemist, though. Compared to day one, I was significantly less stressed of getting hopelessly lost in the bowels of the underground malls. Alright, fellas, I'm a little more confident that we're headed towards the right direction. I'm going to Dihua Street. Ooh. Something that I realized about Taipei too is that they open up a bit late in the day. I think people get started around 11 a.m. around here. I remember yesterday I had a really cute interaction. So I was taking a mirror selfie in front of a cafe, and the cafe was still closed, and it was around 10:30 a.m. that time. And there was a girl who was hanging out by the gate. After a couple of minutes of loitering, she went in and she was looking at me, and then I was asking, what time do you guys open? And she was like, oh, 10. And we both looked at our watches, and she was like, I'm late. That was so cute. Anyway, I think, I'm at Tacheng Street. Goody goody gumdrops. Oh, this is pretty. This is pretty cool. I think this calls for a photo ops moment. That's pretty cute. I have yet to see a lick of Love in Deep Space here. I haven't been playing, but I kind of want to get back at it because who doesn't love having a virtual boyfriend? I had, against all odds, figured out the exit signs, but still, when I finally spotted actual daylight at the end of the tunnel, I skedaddled. When I popped up on street level, I still had to walk a couple blocks, but when I got there, Dihua Street was beautiful. This place is considered to be one of Taipei's oldest streets, and you could really tell. There's a lot of effort in maintaining the original architecture, and I had a lot of fun just meandering through different corners and checking out the little street shops, admiring the intricate facades, all red bricks, and alleyways that whisper, "Buy another trinket, you deserve it." I paid a visit to the Shanghai City God Temple. I figured it couldn't hurt to pray for a happy love life and a gainful employment. I ducked into Kuo's Astral Bookshop in hopes of finding books to take home, but most of the titles were in Mandarin. Naturally, I took an obscene amount of photos of me loitering among books, so we could pretend that counts as engaging with the text. Souvenir shops were next, mainly for some inspiration. I love the aesthetics of Taiwanese pattern design and packaging. Next up is snack break number 1 at Lin's Wagashi Confectionery, where I got the most delicate pairing of oolong tea and wagashi. Then the day started to wobble. First came the realization that I was losing travel footage. My SD card was complaining about slow write speeds. Tragedy in its own right, as I think I got a cursed batch of SD cards for my camera. Add in the creeping anxiety of running low on cash before the day ended, before I got to a night market even. All of that was starting to get overwhelming, and I really needed a breather. Enter Family Mart. For snack break number 2, I acquired some emotional support snacks, rested my aching feet, and just existed for a moment. Just me and my thoughts, casual and anonymous in the crowd without fearing like I'll overstay my welcome. Crisis was averted when I found a 7-Eleven ATM that worked with my Gcash card. To celebrate my financial recovery, I got what turned out to be the best daifuku of my life. With my walking circuit complete, I headed back up to the end of Dihua Street to pick up something very important. It's a pig incense holder from Secret Service Taipei Boutique. He'd been chilling with his Eastern Zodiac crew, but I just knew I had to take him home with me. I named him Houtong, and his divine purpose is to hold the incense sticks I burn at home. I took a pit stop at this restored heritage building and enjoyed my daifuku there. And then I saw some managers diligently overseeing site operations, and then bought some candied cashews for the family. And then I finally headed over to dadaocheng Pier. It was a short walk from Dihua Street, and I'm happy to say that I got the timing just right. I arrived just as the sun was setting for the day. The pier buzzed with life. live music, great views to soak in, and the sound of people enjoying their evening. I found a bench to slump on as my feet were threatening to riot. Despite the temptations of bustling food stalls, I saved every crumb of appetite I had for my last stop of the day, Ningxia Night Market. It's like the smaller, grittier sibling to Simanting, way easier in the wallet too. Of course, I had to get some of my favorite cube steaks. I usually get mine with just a bit of salt, and I love this preparation because it's delicious, doesn't use added fat, hits quick, and lets me munch on something while melting into the drifting crowd. I washed it down with some sugarcane juice and went to queue at the stall that sold sticks full of chicken thighs.
Look, you have to understand. This is an entire stick of 3 chicken thighs for 100 NTD. What in the world?
I also enjoyed some stinky tofu on my mom's recommendation. Then I had some chilled dragon fruit and called it a night. It's May 3 and I booked a loop tour for shifen, houtong, and jiufen in English this time. From my hotel, I once again took the underground routes to Taipei main station and met with my tour group at the East Gate. Shortly after, we were ushered into the bus like obedient ducklings by none other than our lovely guide, Miss Evelyn, who had the energy of a Disney cast member and the patience of a saint. At the first stop, we crossed a bridge, climbed a disrespectful number of stairs, said hello to some donkey statues, passed by the surrounding park lined with yummy food and fruit, and finally arrived at the ledge waterfalls of Shifen. Did I mention I was adopted by a group of Filipino travelers? Shout out to Richlyn and Ira and Mark. We of course had to take a lot of pictures before heading over to Shifen Old Street. We got separated and had to hunt for a tour group. Priorities, you know?
So hi guys, currently we are in a village called Katu. Cat Village.
Shifen pa! Nasa Shifen pa tayo!
At hinahanap namin.
Hinahanap namin si Evelyn. Our tour guide name is Evelyn. Ay nako! Eventually, we managed to rejoin our herd near the old railway, where we could write wishes on lanterns and set them free. And if you've spotted this billowing black smoke at the corner, don't worry about it. It's nothing dramatic, just another sky lantern setting someone's roof on fire. The usual, apparently. While waiting, I picked up my first caffeine hit for the day. Delicious, flavorful, and strong enough to wake the dead. Also went for some ice cream rolled in crushed peanuts and what I think is something similar to lumpia wrapper. I asked them to hold back on the cilantro. We headed to the station awaiting a train that's supposed to take us to Houtong, a coal mining village now ruled by cats and their loyal human wait staff. We happily boarded the train all excited, but were unfortunately kicked out after a couple of minutes of waiting. Turns out that fire from earlier, also canceled the train operations. The bus had to come back, pick us up, and be a ride to Houtong Cat Village. From the parking lot, we went through a tunnel, got schooled on the lore, followed the train tracks, admired the views, and even more views. Like seriously, these babies were super used to people, although a handsome gentleman did run away from me. We grabbed lunch at this super cute spot called Shiwan, and it was just bursting with charm and chaotic good decor. They also sold a lot of souvenirs, all cat themed of course. We took the bus again. This time we were headed to Jiufen Old Street. By the time we arrived, the sun was about to clock out and the crowds were out in full force. There was so much to see. Shops lined the narrow alleyways and some of the shop owners handed us free samples like we were royalty. This cranberry juice? Free sample. Also snacked on some dorayaki, the sesame flavored kind. It wasn't too sweet, which I loved. Ichigo daifuku? Obviously had more. Then came the views. From here, it seems as though the landscape just stretched on. The hills, the roads, the famous tea house carved at the edge of the mountain. We almost missed a tea house actually. We were lost in the less touristy area of the mountain taking photos when we stumbled on a quaint temple tucked away like a secret. Before I knew it, it was time to head back. It was one of those days that fill you up in the best way, with walking, talking, laughing, and experiencing. And at this point, I'm pretty pooped, not gonna lie, but since I'm not in Taipei every day, I figured I might as well hit all the night markets that I could while I'm here. So of course, I headed to Raohe Street. With night markets like this, my approach is simple. I drift with a walking crowd until something tasty catches my eye, and then I'd be obligated to make a pit stop to try some, and then I'd melt back into the human river as a snack-powered tourist on autopilot. As with every night I've been here, I got some cube steaks. Sadly, I think I got a batch that hung out a little too long on the grill. I also tried one of these sausages, the mustard-flavored kind, and it was a whole emotional journey that I'm still unpacking to this day. A personal milestone. I tried out tangpulu for the first time. I wanted it to be the real deal, so it was candied hawthorns or nothing. And let me tell you, worth it. The tartness cutting into the sugar, the crunch, the juiciness, everything I wanted, and I got it. The fresh mochi rolled in crushed peanuts and black sesame was also a winner for me. Sweetness was just right, and I loved the texture. Then came this massive oyster omelette topped with bonita flakes, and I have to say it's pretty good. Would eat again. Probably somewhere quiet with a place to sit. Raohe Streets was by far the busiest night market I've had the privilege of visiting. There were lots and lots and lots and lots of people, and the amount of food I didn't get to try because I was solo and couldn't finish it all, honestly heartbreaking. I passed by these melon pan that I would have fought for back at home, but if I ate anymore I would have needed to roll back to my hotel. I got caught in a bit of rain, spotted an overlord ensuring their minions were working efficiently, and offered a quiet prayer at this temple. On my way out, I queued up and acquired a Fuzhou black pepper bun like any self-respecting tourist. None of the drinks called out to me in particular, so I popped by into a nearby 7-Eleven for a choki milk. This view of Songshan Ziyo Temple was stunning, and for a moment I forgot my feet were threatening to give up on me. I was running on willpower at this point. On my way back, parts of the underground mall near my hotel were still open, but the other parts got spooky. I didn't linger, but I did make it home in one piece, and to my surprise, realized that I still had a lone black pepper bun intact in my bag. As someone who's generally not into black pepper sauces, it's not my favorite thing I've had on this trip, but hey, worth trying anyway. This is my last full day in Taipei. I cleaned up my room, made sure I had my stuff together, and tried to soak in the final moments. The days flew by so quickly. In a burst of overachieving, I checked out a whole 2 hours early, which, immediate regret because I carried my heavy backpack all the way to Longshan Temple. It's a quick ride by train, and it's a popular enough spot that the signs were very easy to follow even for a sleep-deprived tourist. It was the most ornate temple I visited so far, and when I have the privilege to visit places of worship like this, I can't help but pray too, for guidance and strength and blessings moving forward. I have plenty of time to kill before my flight, so I went back to Taipei main station, finally gave in to my curiosity and got a matcha-flavored mochi pondering from Mr. Donut. Bouncy mochi texture was everything I didn't know I needed in a donut. For lunch, I made the entirely reasonable decision to indulge in another beef noodle soup. I went to this place called Laodong Beef Noodle. I had their bestseller, and it was probably as big as my head. It could have doubled as a helmet. It was absolutely divine. With my flight home more than 8 hours away, I eventually decided I've had enough of carrying my massive backpack like a tortoise. Turns out there were coin lockers right by my hotel, which would have been great to realize earlier this morning. Sadly, there's no footage of me wrestling my bag into my locker, but it did happen, and I did win. With my backpack secured, I headed to the 228 Peace Memorial Park to admire the landscaping, learn about the more solemn parts of Taipei's history, and marvel at the sheer amount of birds that gathered in the area. I also got a coffee at the nearby Family Mart, because why not?
Yo, hi. I unfortunately forgot my mic at the lockers. It is my last day in Taipei, and I can't believe that it's already over. It feels like yesterday that I went here, that I got lost in the labyrinth that is the underground malls connected to Taipei main station. I remember our tour guide from yesterday explaining that Taipei main station is a bit of a beast when it comes to all of Taipei's transportation systems. Like, there are 4 different ones, I forget which ones, but there are a lot, and it's normal for tourists to get lost, so I don't feel too bad about it. I would be a lot better going in next time. Anyway, I am currently at the 228 Peace Memorial Park for the rest of the afternoon, maybe. I'll go check out the National Museum of Taipei in a while. This high school student came and invited me to their wind instruments concert. I have their little invitation right here. Pretty fun. I'm excited. I want to watch. Unfortunately, it goes on for 2 hours, and my locker rental ends at like 3:30, but the concert's gonna end at 4:30, so I might have to cut it short. I'm still thinking about what time I'm gonna go to the airport because my flight is at 2 a.m. There's so much wildlife in here. Sorry, I got distracted momentarily by the birds. There's so much wildlife in this park and in Taipei in general. Like, there are ducks in the park, there are pigeons, there are mayas. There's just birds like hanging out here. Look at that. Hindi ako nakakita ng ganito sa Pilipinas, sorry na. I feel like as a solo traveler, it's been pretty safe here in Taipei. Obviously, you need to have your wits about you when you're walking around in the evenings, but it's been a really pleasant time and I didn't feel anything weird. The people are pretty friendly. Well, I'm in a very touristy part of Taipei, and the Ayis who ran the shops that I've been to were really, really nice to me, so I have nothing to complain about. Even my hotel was pretty good. It was self-check-in, self-check-out. It was really easy. Everything was just done by key card, and I didn't have to interact with anyone at all, which is great. Anyway, I just wanted to say I had so much fun. Obviously, I want to come back, balik ako ulit next week. I did go to the amphitheater already because how often do I get to go to live events like this? Not all that often, and the opportunity left me feeling in high spirits. I popped into the National Taiwan Museum for some history and air conditioning, yes. At the time, they had a really cool exhibit about singing insects like cicadas and crickets, buzzing their way into Taiwanese history and culture for centuries. Then it got a little deeper. I learned about the short-lived Republic of Formosa. They had this interesting section on the beliefs of indigenous peoples of Taiwan and the Han Chinese, shown and memorialized through statues. Some of them low-key reminded me of spiritual figures from indigenous groups of the Philippines too. Kinda surreal to see cross-cultural parallels like that. My favorite though? The puppetry exhibit. Like, yes, give me the drama, give me the storytelling, give me the puppet man with long flowing hair and the violent spirit sword. Sign me up for a medium that entertained mortals and deities alike, and even served as political mouthpieces during their time. Sadly got booted out during their closing time, though I would have loved to see more of their natural history exhibits. Then I got bubble tea from this place. Got the black tea with salty cheese foam on top, and it was so good. I went walking around the streets near Taipei main station and found even more stuff I wanted to try. I went back to the underground malls, and I have to mention how much I've grown to love them. People gather in these pockets of space and have dance practices. I just find that really cool. I also did some last-minute souvenir shopping. This place called Autumn Swing had so many cute things I wanted to take home. Also passed by this umbrella shop that I've seen got a lot of good reviews of, and got this tiny little cutie that's so pretty. Then it was time to get my stuff from the lockers and head back to the airport. I will never forget this view as the last familiar thing I saw before getting lost in the underground malls on day one. From Taipei main station, it was pretty easy to get to the airport. I've already purchased my train passes ahead of time, so getting through the turnstile gates was a breeze. I can't help but reflect on the past 5 days. I'm physically tired from all the walking, climbing, and navigating I did. But I'm also fulfilled by how much I learned, actively and loudly figuring things out as I went, committing to decisions I've made, and thriving, having a lot of fun. Not just surviving the entire trip. I got to the airport around 7:20 p.m. and had dinner at the food court. Not gonna lie, I wish I tried eating at one of the bento places at Taipei main station instead. The food court didn't have anything I liked in particular, but alas. My SD card gave up on me at this point, but no worries, it's time to go home anyway. I got my tax refund from my shopping trip at raohe gift shop, chilled at one of the benches to charge my devices, and downed the last of my favorite black milk tea from 7-Eleven. I checked my flight details on the massive boards and headed to boarding gate 12. Oop, there she is. I look so haggard. I look beaten to death, but I'm wondering if I should still buy omiyage. I did not, in fact, buy more omiyage because the airport shops closed on me too. I was wondering if I could go to my gate early because I've already checked in online, but turns out counters for Cebu Pacific opened at a specific time. With the extra time I had, I would have gone to Dihua again to pick up this perfume that I really wanted. But it was expensive. But I really wanted it. It's not for me this time. Panahon na para mag-book ng isa pang trip. Woo! Next week. Woo! Mga Friday. Mali, mahirap pala pag Friday. Dapat mga Wednesday para middle of the week. Hindi mahirap yung transit. Okay, time to freshen up. Gonna look for a restroom here somewhere. Apparently it's much more advanced here. I probably should have only needed to scan my QR code. Did not need to print my boarding pass at all. Pero kasi sa Pilipinas, I needed to go to the check-in counter. Like, the processes here are nebulous. The airports are weird. It is currently 11:15 in the evening, and I really want a shower. To be fair though, not needing to go through baggage drop makes me feel like a nimble mountain goat. Okay, made it past security and immigration really fast. I probably did not have to wait outside, but you know, this is my first solo travel. This is my first solo international travel. This is my first solo international travel with Cebu Pacific. There's a lot of firsts going on, and you know, I need to make a pact with myself to be kinder when I'm learning. And that also means I need to be kinder with people when they are learning. Wait. It says there, gates A1 to 9. See? See? Sometimes I'm also bad with taking directions. I feel like I should have taken a coffee instead of tea. But black tea is also caffeinated, so I was thinking maybe that would be alright. But I don't think... No. My last coffee was like at 11? No. It was at 1 p.m. Maybe the caffeine has worn off. I can't give up now. My mama didn't raise a quitter. So one of my side quests for this trip is to try out the shower facilities here at Taiyuan Airport. We'll see if I can find them, because I'm feeling really rancid, as one does when we're traveling international and it's a red eye. This is what I get for paying budget. But you know what? I also think it's important to learn the limits of what you can tolerate. Toxic is a word that's thrown around pretty often and pretty carelessly. But in my opinion, the dose makes the poison. So there are certain amount of stresses that we should be able to tolerate, and there are also cases where we don't have to, and we get to pick and choose which ones are those. All the shops are closed now. Okay, it's A1 to 9. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. I look back on this trip with fondness, and I'm really happy with this carry-on backpack and mini personal item setup. I love zooming through airport queues, packing light with enough room for clothes, toiletries, and souvenirs, and having quick access to my wallet, phone, keys, and passport. What I would do differently though is book trips with good sleep, always have a bit of extra money to withdraw from banks, and remember to take advantage of coin lockers a bit earlier on in the day. Anywho, thank you for tagging along. Hope you enjoy the vibes, and see you around. Cheers!